Hi, this is Mandy from Sunflowers and Doors. Welcome back to my channel and welcome to week 2 of Ink Stained Archives. This is a collaboration between myself and the Junk Journal Junk Journal Fix with Sunflowers and Doors Facebook group, and Nathalie from LineDotArrow. We are currently in week 2. The collaboration runs for the whole of November. There are 3 weekly prompts and then a catch-up week. There are kits that we're using, which I showed in my first kickoff video. So if you haven't seen that, pop over and have a look. Nathalie also did a flip through of her new kit. We created half of a kit each, if you like. So it's a whole kit, 25 pages each. So half of that will be in Nathalie's shop, half of that will be in my Etsy shop. And the links are in the description box below. There are a huge amount of people taking part, both of the design teams for myself and Nathalie, both taking part in the collaboration as well. So check them out. Again, their information will be in the description box below. Some of them are new to YouTube, and so would really, really appreciate your support. So please just remember to check those out. There are going to be giveaways in mine and Nathalie's group, and that is going to be for anybody who enters. Let me just double check the giveaway. I haven't got it to hand. There's going to be 5 drawings from my group, 5 drawings from Nathalie's group. All you have to do to take part is to upload a post to any of the supporting groups. I will do a draw in my group. Nathalie will do a draw in her groups. You don't have to follow along with the prompts. We've given prompts for each of the weeks. You don't have to follow along with them. You can create whatever you want. Every time you create a post and add that to the group, there will be 1 entry into the giveaway if you are using the freebies only. If you're using the freebies and the kit, there will be 2 entries into the post, into the giveaway. Please just make sure in your post that you're recording down whether or not you're using the freebies and the kit, or just one or the other. I think that's it, but as I said, all the information is in the description box below, and the kickoff video that I put out on the 1st of November has all of the information in. So if you need to pop back and have a look at that, then do that. This week's freebies, there are a number of freebies for my group and again for Nathalie, so don't forget to check those out. And these work alongside the freebies for week 1 kit, so you can mix and match. In fact, my make today will be a combination of using the freebies from week 1, freebies from week 2, and a little bit of I might use that, and a little bit of the kit, very little of the kit though. So yeah, these are the freebie papers. So hope you like them. I will be popping these in my Facebook group, and I'll also put a copy of them into my Ko-fi. Again, all of the information will be in the description box below. So there you go. They are the freebies. Today's project, like I said, was either a bookmark or a small book. I've decided to go with a book, or almost like a mini journal notebook. And the actual concept for the journal was inspired by Natasha from Treasure Books. But yeah, I'm going to create a small journal notebook as my project for this week. I've cut out a load of the bits and pieces, inked some of them, prepped a lot for this one because I think it's going to be quite a long video and I didn't want to keep you hanging around. So what I do need is I've got some fabrics. I'm not sure what I'm going to be using, but I do have some fabrics. I've just decided I'm possibly going to use that there, which I didn't have prepped. So I'm going to just pop that out to one side. I do have some faux washi tape from Tim Holtz, which I absolutely adore. And then I have got some bits and pieces that I have cut out from the kit and inked. So I've got some Some of these, as I said, are from the kit, some from week 1, some from week 2, freebies. Some of them are actually tags or full pages that I've just cut down because I liked what was in there. So there's a couple of different options there. And I'm really not 100% sure what I'm going to do yet, so I'm just going to play around with those, but they're ready to go. I had this made up one of the pages for the freebies for this week. I think that's the one. And what I've actually done with this is I've printed it 2 to a page. So this was the size of the page that I got. And then I've cut that in half because I wanted to use this as the cover for my journal, or the base cover. So I've cut these down. I have backed everything just to save time. These are 13.5 centimetres, which is, what, in inches? It's got to be 5 and, oh gosh, 5 and a quarter, 5 and, can't even work my head around that, 5 and a third, possibly, but 13.5 centimetres. And then it's 10 centimetres wide, 4 inches. Again, I haven't measured it specifically to that size. It's just I printed them 2 to a page, then worked out what size I wanted my paper and kind of went from there. So they can be any size, just scale it to suit your needs, your project. The other thing that I then did, got a little stamp, is I created some papers for some signatures. Now, all I did with this is I got myself a A4 piece of paper, coffee dyed. I folded it in half. I folded it in half again. And then I just trimmed this, a little bit of the edge off here. And I trimmed this section here, and it actually left me with 2 sheets of paper like that. So for every A4 sheet of paper, I got 2 smaller pieces. And again, I kind of sized those to fit inside of what is going to be my cover. So as long as they fit inside of there, which they will, I'm happy. So I think the measurements is just short of, to be honest, so it's 9.5 centimetres wide by 13.5 centimetres tall. And I created 5 signatures. So each of these signatures has 4 of these pieces of paper. Oh, that doesn't, yeah, it does, yeah. 4 of these pieces of paper, which is 2 A4 sheets of paper. So do the math on that to work out how many you need. But again, you just do what you want to do. I wanted this to be quite chunky so that I can use it. And then it's not just a piece of ephemera that goes in my drawer and I never do anything with it. So I wanted to be able to use it. So I've done it quite chunky. And yeah, I'm ready to go with those. Now to get started, what I have here is got some baker's twine. This is new. I found it in my drawer. I'm going to take some of this. I'm not going to sew these signatures. I'm going to do the Treasure and Natasha from Treasure Books kind of concept on just using some of this instead of a signature. Sorry, instead of sewing in the signature. So how I'm going to do it is I'm going to open my little booklet. There's 4 sheets of paper in here. They're double-sided. 8, so 16 journal sides here. I'm going to open it. I'm going to grab my string, and I've measured this out so that it is just over 4 times the height of this particular signature. And then all I'm going to do is I'm going to find the end, like so. Okay, so we've got the end here. I'm going to, you might want to, there you go, got a paper clip there. You might want to paper clip these together if you're not comfortable with them moving and going all over the place. But I've put my twine in the middle there, and I'm going to go around the outside, okay? Go back into the middle. And then I'm going to do that another do I want 4 pieces? I think two times around might suit, because it's not thick signatures, so it doesn't need to be too sturdy. So I'll show you that again. I've got my signature here, so there's my string. I'm holding that on the outside. I'm going down the center of my signatures there, and I'm doing 1, 2 laps. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this a little bit tight. I don't want it to rip my paper, but I don't want it to be too loose either. And you want to make sure that when you fold this, your edges aren't all over the place. So what I mean by that is you don't want your thread being down here. You kind of want them as close to that center piece as you can get them. Okay, so there's one there, and there's one there. And what I'm going to do with that is I'm going to cut my string now, because I did do it on 4 times, which I didn't need to. I'm going to bring this to the center here. Okay, this is where Natasha had a really good trick. So, like I said, make sure your pieces are on as close to the edge as you can get, close to the spine section as you can get them. You're going to pull out a little bit here, your bit that's hanging down, and your 2 that have gone around your journal. And you're going to fold this piece here underneath that. Okay. And then you can, I'm going to open this a second just because I'm going to make it, I think it'll be easier for me to work with. I'm going to make sure that's as tight as you can get it without pulling on your corners. And I'm going to tie a knot. I can't tie knots for toffee, so this is a real challenge for me. I'm just going to make sure, again, that's tight there. Pull that there. That's 1, 2 knots. And that is your signature held together. Simple as that. Now with these here, you can actually push them over the other side. You will see these when you're finished, but not a huge amount that it's going to wind you up. But I don't know if you can see what I'm doing now, is I'm just making sure kind of, because there's 3 strings on the inside, and making sure one's on the center, one's slightly to this side, and one's slightly to that side. So if you can see that. So that is all I'm doing. So I'm going to do another one now with you, and then I'll do the rest off camera, because it is quite a painful process watching me try to get this done, and it is the first time I've done it. So yeah, I absolutely loved. I've been promising to make myself a journal using this method, and I just haven't got round to it yet. So this is a perfect opportunity for me to have a go. So again, holding this piece here, give yourself enough of a tail so you can pull it back and tie it. Down your centre there, around 1, and fold it in, around 2, and fold it in. Straighten these edges. You should have 3 strings on the inside, 2 on the outside at the moment, and then we're going to pull that as tight as we can without ripping our pages. We're going to hold our piece, the shorter of the two pieces here, with the two outside edges, and we're going to wrap this underneath to give us a good place to tie our knot. So I'm just going to cut that. I will use these threads again, so I'm not wasting them. I have cut them quite long, but just because I want to make sure I've got enough of a scope. So again, you can play with your edges then to make sure that there is one in the middle, one on either side, just because it looks quite cool. So that's two. I'm going to do the rest of them off camera and I'll be right back with you. Okay, so that is our 5 signatures all done, and you can see they look quite cool. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to glue these together. Sounds strange, yeah, but that is what we're going to do. We're going to glue these together. And what I want to do is, I'm looking for, I don't want to glue them right up to the edge because that will stop the movement, and you'll see what I mean as we go on. So I don't want to glue them right up to the edge. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in about 1/2 inch from the edge on each of these. Just making a little pencil mark, coming in 1/2 inch on each of these pieces. If you want to ink your pages, which I know some people do, then obviously you need to really do that before you start to put these together. So this is the $1 million thing now, whether or not this is going to work. So how I'm going to do it, I'm going to use some wet glue, and I'm going to glue this area here. I'm not going to glue this section, just this area here. I'm not going to go right up to the edges just yet because 1, the glue will fan out a little bit, but 2, I can always go in with some art glitter glue at a later date and tidy up anything that isn't glued properly. Now, what we're going to do is we are going to match up our one page on top, our one booklet rather, on top of the other one. Now, what Natasha does when she does hers is she matches the 2 sheets of paper together, which would be, let's have a look. So it would be those 2 there. And we're just making sure that those are nice and snug. Okay, we've got wet glue, so we've got a little bit of wiggle room. And I'm just going to use my bone folder to make sure that they are glued nice and close. Now, what you'll end up with, as you see here, this bit here isn't glued, but our middle section is. This isn't glued on purpose because you want there to be some movement. And what you'll find with this process is that you can open up your book any way you want to. We'll be putting not a spine cover, but almost like a bit of a cover on here, which will stabilize it a little bit more. But this is what we're looking for. Okay, so not glued right up, but the rest of it is glued quite tidily. So I'm just going to do that with these other signatures. And like I said, I can always go in afterwards with some Fabri-Tac and tidy those up a bit. So I'm going to get this piece here, and I'm going to make sure that that matches that piece there. As tidy as I can get it. So our third two pieces that we've glued are this one and this one. So again, while the glue's still wet, I'm just gonna go over that with my bone folder. Now, if you're not comfortable, you can actually do one at a time and let them dry. That is another option, rather than try to do them all together. I don't have any patience, so I'm going to do these in one go, and then I will give them a little bit of drying time. Now, because this is an old style vintage book I'm doing, I can get away with any little mistakes or anything that isn't a perfect fit. So there is logic to going with vintage sometimes. Okay, and then we have got one more to do. Now I'm gonna do this last one here. Sorry if you can see the top of my head. Now I haven't got to worry about these being, what's the word? I don't have to worry about these being directional because I haven't put anything on the pages yet. But if you've decorated your pages at all, just obviously be careful with your directional elements when you pop those on. So I'm gonna just gonna put some clips on here and let these really set for 5 while we move on to the next step. Okay, so the next step is we've got our cover, which is here, which is great. We know that's going to fit because we checked that out before we cut our pages. So that's going to be the front and that's going to be the back, and that will go like this. What we are going to do though is we're going to use a little bit of fabric to cover this because we don't want all of this showing, and we also want to be able to attach our covers really well. So the fabric, I've got a couple of different choices here. There's this one, I don't think I love that, but I don't think it's going to go with the blues. So I think I'm going to go with this. Now, I'm not sure where I got this from, to be honest. It was a gift, I believe, but I'm not sure where from. What I do want to do, first and foremost, is make sure that my fabric is as tall as my book. So I'm just going to do a little cut here so I know how far it needs to be. And I'm going to tear that. Now, we're not covering the whole spine. So at the moment, I'm going to take about this much here. Okay, so let's put that to one side. So what I've done is I've taken fabric, enough materials that will cover the length of our book. Okay, what I need now is I need enough to cover the width of our spine here. Okay, so if I take that along the edge, so that's how much I would need for the width of our spine, but I also want a bit to cover either side here, like that. So I'm not going to measure, I'm going to guesstimate. Okay, and what I've done is I've done enough, I believe, that I can cover the spine here like that and attach it to the sides of my book. So that should now be dry in theory. Some of these pages may have stuck together, but I can double check that. So how I'm going to do it is I want this on the outside, so I'm going to turn it over. And I'm going to grab some fabric tack, I think, is what I'm going to use for this. Now, importantly, you don't want to glue your page here. Okay, and you don't want to glue your page here, and you don't want to glue the spine either. I'm going to cut some of these off, actually, because I think they're going to be a bit bulky. So let's just cut a couple of these off. Probably should have done that before I glued these together. Okay. So again, I don't want this to be glued right up to the edge or across the spine, because I want this to be able to still move and open. So I'm going to be gluing, and I probably haven't given myself enough space. I haven't given myself enough space for that. What I need I might just have enough. Yeah, I might just have enough actually. So I'm going to grab some fabric tack and I am going to glue. Don't know why that's not coming out. I'm going to glue along this line that I'd already drawn in. Not right to the end, just along the line. And then I'm going to smudge that in. Okay, and then I'm going to lay my fabric on top, like that. Just literally where the glue is. Doesn't matter that it's gone through because we're going to be covering that. And I'm going to do exactly the same over this side. So not right up to the edge. I'm not covering the spine. And we're going to cover that like that. Okay. And then what I can do when I'm ready is cut off some of these extra frayed bits here because I don't want it to be too. So we've got that there. Okay. And that's our... So what you're left with is a notebook that will open completely flat all the way. And you're also left with a spine that will grow a little bit. Now, the only bit we've got left to finish is attaching our front and our back cover. That's all we've got left to do. I do want the fabric to show a little bit, so I'm going to cut just a bit off the edge in here, because otherwise the fabric just would not show. So let's go to there, which is 9.5. Like that. Let's ink these back up. So we've got our front and our back, doesn't matter which. And what we're going to do is we're going to glue these on here like that. So the easiest way to do that is going to be to glue. I think I'm going to stick with Fabri-Tac actually, is to glue. Oh, before I do that, almost forgot. Right, because there's going to be a tiny bit of edge showing, and it literally is just going to be a tiny bit of edge showing. I'm just going to go around here with some ink, just so that it won't look so stark. You could stencil it if you wanted to. Loads of options. Stenciling does look quite cool, or you can actually, when you cover it with your paper, you can actually create excess so that you can wrap it around. That is another option. I don't know how much sense that actually makes, but what I mean is you can, just wipe this off. You can, instead of just having the paper flush against your edges, which is what I've done, you can have it so that you leave yourself enough space and then wrap it over, so you won't get to see any edges there. And that is, which one did I want for the front? I don't suppose it matters, does it? Okay, so I'm going to go with this one here for the front. So again, what I'm going to do is I am going to glue my... Remember how much space you want to leave for your, fabric to show. So for me, I just want a little bit of fabric showing like that. So I'm going to be gluing from, gosh, this is so hard and I don't have the strength in my hands anymore. Let's leave that upside down. Okay, and I'm literally going to pop this on like that. Make sure it's not in the wrong position. And while you've still got a little bit of playing time, you can still wiggle it around. So that glues on to this bit here. So I'm just gonna, again, got glue all over me. like that. And that is the front. Okay. And then we're going to do exactly the same on the back. It doesn't help that it's really cold, the weather now, so everything just becomes so much harder to work with. Okay, right, so let's see. That is our front, so that is going to go on like this. So again, I need to make sure that that is lined up. Doesn't have to be perfect, but it's got to be pretty decent. Okay. So that is then our little book. And again, I'm going to need to put some little bits of glue in where I didn't go right up to the edge. Gosh, nothing wants to work today. There we go. Okay. I think I had a blockage. Okay, I'm just gonna let that settle there. I'm gonna do the same over here. Like that. Okay. So that will be my main journal cover. So I'm going to leave that to dry for now while I kind of decide what I want to do for my cover. So like I said, I printed off a load of these bits and pieces. And I was inspired by Nathalie's make last week when she did some collaging. And so I did think, what about some collaging? So I've got a couple of ideas. This piece here I didn't back, but that's okay. I'm going all out for grunge. Okay, so I've got a couple of ideas on some different layering pieces. I do quite like the idea of that. got so much here to use. So I do like that. But I think that's just too big. So I might just chop a little bit of the bottom off of that. So it gives me a little bit more space. I do like that one, the blue. But again, I would want because I had some blue paper here that I quite liked the idea of using. I think I'm going to use all of that. I think I'm going to take some of that. Use that. Yep. I definitely like the blue. I like that as well. But I think that's going to be too busy. Or maybe not. What if I had that with that going on there like that? And then we could have one of our flowers up here. Or clock peeking out there. I don't know whether I think that looks too busy. Quite like it. So let's take these off a second. So the first thing is this would be going on here. So I'm just going to pop that on there first, just as a bit of a indicator as to where I wanted it. Then that would be coming down I don't know whether I just need I think I'm definitely going to be using this. I don't know how it'll pan out yet, but I'm hoping that I will be able to get a hole in the centre of the clock. I'm going to put a little hole in that. Because I want to use a brad. Okay, so we've just put a little brad in there just to give it a little bit of, I think, I hadn't gone around that, but I think I'm gonna go around it just lightly to grunge that up a bit more. See, this is the bit that takes me forever, is the trying to work out where to place everything. Where's that gone? It's small little square brad then. Didn't even know I had that. Or was it a figment of my imagination? Yeah, I think it must have been. Oh, there it is. It was a little dotty one. I wonder if I've got any more of those. Yeah, there's another one there. And one more there. Sorry if you can see my head again. What I'm going to do, I think I want to do just 3 here. 1, 2. Three. And again, just to add a little bit of something different. So there's one there. To that. Three there. And again, they don't have to be perfectly spaced. If you want to get a ruler and measure them, go for it. But I like the fact that they're all a bit different. Okay. Okay. Now I do have some lacy stuff. Do I have anything that I could use? This is old. I wouldn't mind using a piece of that. So again, I'm just going to glue that down there. Okay, I'll let that dry. Right, okay, so let's move on because otherwise I'll be here all day. So I've glued that together. I would like to use the tag, but I think I've kind of thrown that option out now, but I could use that as a... I'll show you what I mean in a minute. So potentially this is going to be coming on here like that, but we're going to cut off some of that lace. So we don't need all of that all over the place. So that would be there, that would be there. Our clock, I definitely want to get our clock in. Would be, I'm going to get that in as well then. I could use the clock on the inside, it doesn't have to be on the back even, it hasn't got to be there. So that would go there, that would go there, and I do want to try and include that somewhere. So we know that goes like that, and that would be coming on here like that. And then, we didn't use that, did we? So that would be there. Just a bit of a cluster. I'm not going to use that for that. I am still going to use this and that. No, it's not going to go there. Let's get some tape on here first so I can see what I'm doing, see what it looks like as it's coming together. So that will go there like that. So it's just deciding where I want that. Quite like that there, but I really want to use the butterfly. I don't know if I like it, to be honest. I don't know if I like. No, I don't. I'm going to take this off here because I'm not happy with that. I'm going to go, okay, so I'm going to go with yeah, so I'm going to go with yes, I'm going to go with that. We're going to go with that. So let's glue this back on. that. We're going to pop our butterfly up here, like that. And then we're going to try and pop this down here, like that. Better. And then I'm going to just put a brad in here. Not a brad, we're going to go for an eyelet this time. That'll be going on there like that. And then I don't know whether I want to put some I've got loads of this left. I could just thread some of this through. Sorry, I'm going off camera a little bit there. And again, off camera, sorry, I do apologise. Okay, and then that will go on there like that. Which I think will be fab. Perfect, perfect, perfect. So that's going to go on there like that. Oh, that's a firework. I'm going to pop this, I think, on the back here, but I am going to grungy that a bit more, just because it's, I wonder if I could turn that into, because I've already got that in place. There's a possibility, there's a real possibility. Let's have a look. What did I do with, I didn't leave it on one of these, did I? No, I had a paper clip here somewhere. Don't know what I've done with that. So that could go on there like that. I'm going to have to get something fairly stable, and I'm just working with what I've already got here. I'm not trying to recreate anything as such. So what I'm going to do with that, I'm going to fold that like that. I think it might work. Let's have a look. Let's just round these corners so it's not going to get in the way. Okay, let's glue it first. I'm gluing it purely because you're probably wondering what on earth I'm doing, but I'm gluing it just because it'll make the paper thicker. I've already cut the paper out, so I don't really want to waste it. So I'll be folding like that. Let's cut these corners, one there. One there. Our paper clip will go on here, like that. I'm going to glue this. I'm going to have to take a little bit of the edge off. Just go around that again. Okay. Yep, that should work. So I'm just going to glue this. What I might do is I'm going to cut a little hole, if I can, in the centre, and I'm just eyeballing that, like that, so that our paper clip can just pop up there. So if we wanted to add a dangle to it, we could. Glue in the other side. That. I'm going to glue this onto here, like that. I will have to back that just with some paper I've got from the kit, but that won't take too long. So that then will become our hidden paper clip, which we can use in our book. Okay, finally got there. It's probably taken like about 4 or 5 hours. Just caught some of that off there. So let's pop some of that. Like that. So we've got our little journal notebook, which literally you can open it as you go. And then we've got our hidden paper clip, which we could pop on there like that. So that is our little notebook. It took me forever, but I actually really enjoyed putting that together, and I love how it's come out. So yeah, really, really cool. Yeah, like I said, it did take me forever. I might want to add some additional thread, if you like, along there, lace. I could attach some little additional lace there if I wanted to, just to kind of cover that up a little bit, but I can do that again. So yeah, that is our little notebook for week 2 of Ink Stained Archives. I absolutely love how it's turned out. Like I said, it's taken forever, but I'm really, really pleased with how that's turned out. And our bonus little altered paperclip. So I'll leave it there. Otherwise I'll just be rabbiting forever. I hope you enjoyed. Please let me know what you think. I would love to know. Use the description box, the comments box below. I will catch you in the next video, but keep an eye out for the freebies, which will be coming on Sunday, which is the same day that this video will be released. So keep an eye out for those freebies and have a play. Hope you enjoy. I'll, as I said, leave it there. Catch you in the next video. Until then, as always, stay safe, be well. Bye for now.